Hey guys, Dr. Mac here. Welcome back to Black Women, Sex, and. So we're filling in the blank today with success. May not seem like something we want us to talk about, but we have to. I have had so many challenges as I plan my life and plan my career with how do I do it all? How do I have it all? How do I balance it all? Because a lot of times we don't think as Black women we can be extremely successful at everything, but I think we can. Are we going to stress ourselves out? Do we not practice enough self-care while we're doing it? I don't have the answers, but I'm happy with the guest that I'm bringing on today to chat with us about how to balance it all and give yourself permission to have it all or be selfish or whatever it is you want to do. So I'm excited that you're here with me today as we all figure out how to balance things out. Those of us that have already accomplished some things, or those of us who still have things on our vision boards that we're trying to manifest, together we can figure out how to be Black, female, and successful. So I'm excited about this one. Thanks for tuning in. So today's episode, Black Women, Sex, and Success. Maybe it doesn't seem like a topic that directly connects to the sex stuff that we've been talking about, but it does. When you think about or read about Black women and success, usually we've been told that we have to pick. Some of our boomers and maybe the next generation may have been raised to think, hey, get that degree, get that man, have those babies, and I don't know, retire and pull down from your retirement. We no longer live in that world, or maybe we haven't lived in that world and have always been entrepreneurs and creatives. Most Black women I know can do a ton of things and may not be as financially successful as we should be. We know that we make up a great deal of this country, and I might even say the world's wealth. We're the most educated in most instances, but why doesn't our money match up? We talk about bags and we talk about things that we want, but we really don't necessarily take the steps that we should. Not to go into a full financial workshop, because that's not what this episode is about. How do we balance when we get there? When we read about our billionaires like Oprah and our millionaires, we just watched Self-Made with Madam C.J. Walker and Blair Underwood cheated on her. It makes you, I don't know, a bit uneasy about being able to balance the two. Can I truly become as successful as I want to be in my career and monetarily, and take care of a husband or a wife, and actually have children, whether I want to actually give birth to them or I want to have a surrogate? How do I feel about adoption? We're constantly pressed with the idea that we have to apologize for something or we have to scratch something off of the list. So today's episode is about having it all. Firstly, giving yourself permission to have it all, and then maybe taking some steps to balance and be a little bit more selfish, because most of us are not. So I brought in someone who I love and respect as a businesswoman, honestly, first, who's mastered so many different industries, who's really set herself up, not just as a wealthy woman, but creating generational wealth and education. So people who may not ever meet her will know her name. So I think that she has a lot of Easter eggs for us and a lot of things that we can kind of put in our arsenal as we think about having it all and being it all. Because she is married, she does have children, and she is really serious about herself. So I've said enough. I'm bringing in my girl Marki to hang out.
Look, you pulled me out. I haven't been out the house in 11 weeks.
Amen to that.
So that says something about who you are as a person, because I got dressed and put on some lipstick.
You know what?
Just for you.
She giving me the warm and fuzzies. Let's get into it. So I'm really excited about today's episode. We introduced it as Black Women, Sex, and Success. If you know me, my standard for success is skewed very, very, very high. Hold a high standard for myself. So I said, who am I going to bring on that I think is successful across the board, that I actually shut up and listen to? And that's a rare short list as well. So I am so excited that I got Miss Marki to visit me today. Our story is a cool one.
Yes, it is.
The very first time I decided that I was going to be independent and live on my own, this is, whose name was on that list. And she, walks in, had checked my Facebook, had made sure I was squared away. So if you think that social media isn't checked when you get ready to get property, They do. So she was doing a character assessment of me at 20-something, and I'm happy I passed. Social media wasn't as popular as it is now. I probably wouldn't have got the place, but welcome.
Thank you for having me. I just told Steven leaving the house. I said, and she told me, and you think we gonna be friends on Facebook? Is exactly what you told me. She's like, I don't need you over here watching my house. And I respected and I admired that. But yes, I was definitely combing through the social platforms to see what your standards were.
See, and I've been long gone. The building is gone.
The building burned down.
The building burned down, but that's another story. But I truly, truly respect all of the hats that you wear. And I think that success feels different and looks different. So if you can let the people know who you are and all the jazz that you have playing around you so they can get an idea about why you are Black women in success.
Well, my name is Marki Lemons-Rowell. I am a real estate keynote speaker and international best-selling author. I have reinvented myself 3 times already. I'm pivoting right now, just so that you will know. And I was born and raised a 5th-generation entrepreneur. That's all I knew. And I wasn't going to go to college. I just told my youngest son this morning. I actually wanted to be a hairstylist. And my mother told me, you can always go back and do hair. You need to go get you a degree. And I went to Central State University, and I saw all those fine Black men.
Shout out to the HBCU.
Baby bye. And I said, oh, I need some of all of this. What was I thinking?
Amen to university life.
Yes, in my life. And what started off as I'm not going to go to college ended up with, I don't know why y'all won't pay for me to get a PhD.
I know that's right.
And I have a master's degree in business administration. I have 60 real estate related licenses, designations, and certifications, and I only play in the real estate space.
So as the kids say, you went and got the bag, and the bag is steady growing.
The bag is steady growing, but I'm committed to being a lifelong learner. And so what I tell people, my undergrad is in hospitality management. I have an MBA degree in marketing. I've taught marketing on a collegiate level since 1996, 26 years old, fresh out of grad school. Marketing today isn't what marketing was in 1996. If I wasn't committed to being a lifelong learner, I would not be where I am right now because the game has changed.
Okay. So in saying that the game has changed, success looks different, right? So the premise of the entire show is mother-daughter relationships, right? And the generations working together. So when I'm with older Black women and we're talking about success, some of the rhetoric is still the same. College, get a degree, start at a ladder, climb that ladder, and retire and pull out a 401, like that traditional way of thinking. So as someone in another generation, what should we start shifting in how we teaching the babies about what success looks like?
I don't believe you need a degree.
Okay.
Now, even though I'm educated, and I think, no, my children are educated, right? My son just graduated from Howard University. Education is a foundation.
Okay.
So to me, it's the bare minimum. Do I believe it's going to make or break you? Absolutely not. I definitely have a Gary V way of thinking. I'm 100% vested in YouTube University. I think you can teach yourself
everything,
right?
Yep.
Which is the pivot right now. I've been enrolled in YouTube University every single day.
Okay? Every day.
But with that being said, my mother was a teen unwedded parent. Okay. She went to school. She ended up going to school, and she became a dietitian. However, my mother quit her job working for ARA Services, and in 1982, she started selling snowballs and hot dogs in the park, hustling.
Yep.
And I remember people used to teach, because I went to private school. So how dare my mama sell hot dogs in the park? That wasn't acceptable at the Harvard School or Luther South High School, right? And it hit me in 1986. I turned 16. My mother paid tuition like everybody else's parent. I got a car at 16 after I had returned from spending the summer in Reykjavik, Iceland as a foreign exchange student.
Come on, mama.
So when I show up at school, somebody says, so Lemons, how many hot dogs did your mama have to sell in the park this summer to send you to Iceland? I looked him up and down. I said, well, clearly, my mama making more money selling hot dogs in the park because you ain't been to no Iceland.
You better.
And do you need a ride home?
In my car.
So I understood money looked different.
Right.
At 16, and my family owns a very popular establishment in the city of Chicago, but it's a popular establishment.
Right.
That's different than your mama selling hot dogs. And I'm telling you, the way your mama selling hot dogs in the park,
And
driving that
it's
raggedy.
interesting that you say that, because my mother sold dinners at salons, and I was her sous chef. I was the dishwasher. And I used to say, do I have to wash all these dishes? And I didn't even eat. And then you just get that look. And I was like, well, okay. You know, back to the kitchen I go. But it gives you some type of tenacity and resilience when you have a single hustling by any means necessary kind of mama. And even Success, she would probably say that they worked harder than us.
They did.
Absolutely.
Physically, they did.
Right.
Most definitely.
So elaborate. Physically, they did, because we're still, the generational gap we're closing here. And it's like the day in, day out, clock in, clock out and physical is what they see as hard work. What does hard work look like for you or for us?
Well, when the virus hit, my life changed.
Okay.
So I let everybody know. Friday, March the 13th, it all changed. I had already this year traveled the distance around the world. I am gone 100 nights per year, which I'm sure we're going to have to talk about what that looked like. I leave my husband
100 nights.
and my children 100 nights per year. And this was a record-breaking year for me, and I was in the midst of a record-breaking month.
Because you and I ran into each other in the airport. Both traveling for work.
Both traveling for work.
And we just here on this couch today, let us out again.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
And what I saw was canceled, postponed, rescheduled. Canceled, postponed, rescheduled, right? And I'm like, oh, what just happened? And it took me 48 hours after I finally made it back to Chicago to get my head wrapped around.
What it
You've
looked
been
like.
shut down. Now the question is, for how long? So then I went to check my money, right? Because I did take some lessons from my grandmama and my mama. I went and checked my money,
Yes.
right? To make sure.
And we're going back to that.
We're going to go back to that.
Uh-huh.
And all the accounts, and my husband estimated how much money I had, so he told me, you don't have nothing to worry about. And I said, well, how you know how much money I get, right? And once I realized that I had enough money to sit at home, I said, you know what? I'm going to emerge better than what I came in. How do I now leverage my time at home to exhaust this long to-do list,
Right.
and do all the other things that I wanted to do in business that I couldn't do hopping on and off of an airplane.
Right.
And I've done all of it.
Amen to that. But that's the reinvention that takes discipline and the constant need for educating yourself. I think that when we pick that one lane, we pigeonhole our creativity, because all the black women I know can sing, cook, sew, you know, change a tire, raise a kid. And it's like, why would I ever just be in one career with all of these God-given gifts, right? But what we have to dig into is the narrative that says, if I want those multiple streams of income and I want to be able to travel 100 nights a year and I want the separate accounts and to be able to just swipe what I want and need, I can't take care of a man and children because there's no time, right? You see some of these moguls. It's popular now. You got Beyonce, you know, is married, and you see Sierra and all these business women are married, but it feels like a daunting sacrifice if you say, I want to be the creme de la creme in my marriage and in my career. And it seems like you have a lot of tips on how to make it your own. Because, I mean, it starts with your own rules. And you and yours follow y'all rules.
Yeah, I think we're unorthodox.
See?
We have our own set of rules and regulations.
Well, who's your husband? How long you been with him?
Okay, so my husband is Stephen Rao. He's a locomotive engineer. We will be married 14 years.
Hey.
We've been together 15 years, so we dated exactly 1 year and 1 day until we got married, and there was a 5-month overlap.
Okay.
So I did have me another man when I met my husband. And so that's what my husband knows.
And he snatched it.
Well, he snatched it, but he was clear. And I told him when we got married, I said, let me explain something to you. The same way you get me is the same way you will lose me. Cheating ain't beneath me, and you can't out-cheat me on no day of the week.
Whew.
So we got that part together.
Out the way.
Because I wouldn't want him to think that.
Right. So it's like, let's not play this game.
If you want your feelings to be hurt, I can deliver hurt feelings. or we can be respectful and loving and understanding and honest in this here situation. If not, baby, I will play you like I played the rest of them.
So you were your authentic self
100%.
from day one. So he knew exactly what investment he was making with you and all your stuff. He said, I want to scoop it up and I want it here.
But you met my husband, so he's as ignorant as I am.
Indeed he is.
Okay, so just so you understand.
Indeed
so
he is.
he showed up at his true authentic self, and I showed up as my true authentic self. And a lot of people, Stephen was almost 40 when we got married. And I have a great husband, but a lot of women couldn't handle Stephen.
You said everybody can't take Stephen.
No, Stephen is a handful.
2 hands.
Well, he's a lot, right? To deal with what made him different was that I looked at his actions, not his words, because he'll say anything. But for the first time, I honestly just sat back and looked at his actions, and his actions told me everything. One, he adores you. He's going to be a father to your child because he understands you a package deal. And this token, that is nothing but him talking.
Yep.
If you can learn to ignore him talking, girl,
Just
this
live
will
on
work.
the action. So if I have to summarize that, be your authentic self.
Yes.
Know exactly what you're signing up for, and pick your battles. Your battle with him is not his words because he's good at those actions. So how do you manage your time and us as black women giving so many pieces away? So you got a lot of pieces of Marki that you got to give away.
I don't really give a lot of pieces of Marki away. I am very serious about, I've always, even as a teenager, lived off of a calendar and a schedule. Even you and I went back and forth,
Absolutely.
right? And so I'm clear about my time and the value of my time, and I've always
Absolutely.
been that way. Stephen understands my time. Have we had hurdles? Yes. They think because I'm at home working, I'm available. I'm not available. I'm working. So I had to do a little, I call it my project, some years back, where I took a week and I harassed my husband and my children, just for real.
Undivided.
I gave them my undivided harassing attention
They
to the
didn't
point
want
that I was calling Skylar. I said, Skylar, I am on the ComEd's website and I do not see your telephone number. I need the 1-800 number so I can call. No, Mommy, you do not need to call here. Oh, no. I need to have access to you and I need to talk to you, so I need to know what number do I dial, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I just went on with it. Stephen, let them go golfing. And you start interrupting their golf game. Honey,
a problem.
where are you? What are you doing? Well, how long does golf take? What hole are you on right now?
Day long.
I did it. Oh, I did. But I'm telling you, I gave him a week. And after the week, we had a discussion. I said, how did that feel? I said, so when you see me here working, I have a schedule that I work by. If you don't want me to disrupt you on your scheduled time, don't disrupt me. And and my husband would let everybody know, let me check her schedule first.
Yeah.
Because I find that the same way you found me to be aggravating, that's how I feel you guys every single day. You have no respect for my time, but I still got a job to do.
And what's interesting, that's self-care. Demanding boundaries, whether your boundary is when I close this door, when I got this scarf on, when I turn my music on, when I'm taking a bath, and sticking to them. So do you do the reverse when it's family time and husband time?
Oh, first of all, they're aggravating, yes. So we play game night. The youngest son demands that there's no cell phones during game night.
I love it.
We do TV night, no cell phones during TV night. So they do make me disconnect, where I have to put my device down because they want my undivided attention. But I get game night. You know, game night is after work hours.
Right.
But Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, sometimes I say, look, I'm gonna need some extended hours today. That means I am working. And it's rude, it's inconsiderate, it's disrespectful for you to come in here and disrupt me about anything because you don't want me to do it to you.
I love that you are unapologetic about it. And I think that it's a gift because I have a similar personality as it relates to demanding self-care and things that are for me. But a lot of our sisters and counterparts may feel that it's selfish with children, especially. I've heard in a lot of instances, mom guilt, I'm away too long, I'm gonna miss their fill in the blank. And you know, I only have dogs, can't speak to it. Maybe I miss them, maybe I don't. But the feeling of I'm gonna miss something because I'm doing me, and maybe some of the narratives that we've passed down to make us feel that way. Like, what do you say to those women that may not be as, you know, convicted as you?
Why do you feel the need to be everything to someone else when you're raising them to be self-sufficient?
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it.
Wow.
And I like self-sufficient people. As a parent, my number one goal is don't raise anything I would not want myself. I want a man who, like I tell my husband, he need more hobbies. He golfed because I gave him a hobby because, no, I'm serious, because he was too busy minding my business. So I told him, I said, well, we got to get you another hobby, right? I am an only child. As an only child, at a very early age, I learned how to self-entertain myself. I don't need anybody. I can sit there and entertain and be all by myself for weeks on end and don't think nothing about. I'm being honest with you, right?
I believe you.
I've been self-quarantined. When you said come out, I said come out. What? Girl, like, I'm comfortable. I'm in Marki Oasis over here. Look, you're the first lipstick I've put on in 11 weeks.
Come on, put lipstick on. I'm excited.
And so I'm okay being by myself. Me and my youngest son, we don't have any problem with what's going on. My husband and my oldest son, they got a problem. My oldest son is in Texas right now with his girlfriend. I said, and look, I bought him the plane ticket. You need to go somewhere.
I know that's right, and he's just fine.
He had to stay at least 2 weeks. He'll be back next week for an orthodontist appointment.
That's right.
And the question I had, and so how long you gonna be here this time?
Because you got to go right back.
I need you to go back.
Pay you some business.
Because I like people who like themselves and don't mind spending time with themselves.
So like themselves and spending time with themselves. You know, we got to bring it all the way back to the sex. So the first episode was a masturbation episode and about how this particular time has made us more comfortable with our natural selves, even though you've always been natural, but just with our bodies and doing stuff, and we're looking at different porn that we didn't look at before, and maybe buying toys. The toy companies are selling out. Pornhub gave premium for free, all kind of foolishness. And we have been exploring how sex has changed during this time. So can't talk about that without asking about them 100 nights. How do you keep them satisfied while you wear, you know, all of these different hats?
My sex drive is substantially higher than my husband. So the question isn't how to keep him satisfied, it's how to keep me satisfied.
Okay.
But let me say this, we knew that going into the situation.
Okay.
So I have a very high sex drive. The question is, how do I self-satisfy?
Right.
Right? Everything you just mentioned, porn, masturbation, I know what it takes to get me off, and I know how to get me off. Right? For my husband, his approach, he's an overweight diabetic, so his approach to sex is totally different than my approach to sex.
Okay.
He could care less. Okay. But we're intimate, and so we're a loving, huggy, kissy, affectionate couple. But he doesn't need what I need.
Got it.
And when he's not willing to accommodate, I know how to take care of myself.
Okay, so I think that goes back to open communication. And I think people aren't necessarily honest about their sex drive and where things are going and changing. I mean, I 35, something has shifted in me, and I said, if it's gonna get worse, you know, I'm a killer. But it's one of those things that, talking to other black women, I knew it was coming. And we sometimes feel like we can't find a balance. So we don't want scheduled sex in most instances, because the goal is for it to be organic and flow, right? So we can't necessarily, you know, send each other a Google invite and say, you know, tonight is the night for, you know, the 69 or whatever. And I'm not knocking people that do. But in that, do you feel that he's completely satisfied because he has a different sex drive? What would you say to someone who was the reverse? How do we...
So I wouldn't say he's completely satisfied, because I think that he would desire to have more attention. Got it. And so I think that if my husband had one thing he would want more from me, is he would definitely want more attention. Here's the balance with that. My husband, since the quarantine, has went to work once per week. He's a locomotive engineer. He's on the board right now. That's how often they call him, right? And he's a coronavirus survivor.
Okay.
So to me, he has laid around for 11 weeks. I just need you to understand that.
Okay.
He just started doing projects, right?
Okay.
A week ago, because I need you. So every day, or when I go to the bathroom, I come up out my office, I run through our bedroom to the bathroom. He is laid across the bed with the iPad in the same position I left him.
Working.
I'm working, right? 4 hours ago. And this is all day, every day, until about a week ago. So I was annoyed, right? And then here comes the question. If you complain I work too much, can I complain you don't do enough? And that was the question. So I am in here working, but you're not doing nothing. So where do we find this balance? I decided not to complain he wasn't doing nothing. He decided not to complain that I'm working too much.
So for everything, there's a direct approach. Let me tell you exactly what I'm feeling, which translates into sex. I don't like you licking my ear. I don't kiss like that. Let's do this, let's do that, or let's schedule it or not schedule it. So it's really the individual couple and the woman making it a point to make herself the initial priority over her kids and over her partner, and then being able to schedule everything else accordingly, but also understanding your partner's needs, and you accommodate as best you can with a little bit of sacrifice. Does it ever get overwhelming?
I'm not overwhelmed because I know how to say no.
Ooh.
And so I'm not, if I feel overwhelmed, we're going to have a problem.
Okay.
So overwhelm is something that I avoid at all costs because I've been overwhelmed before. And that's the one feeling I do not like.
Okay.
So we were talking earlier. I don't wash dishes. I don't empty garbage, right? But I do laundry. I fold sheets like I work at the hotel. I make the bed. There are a lot of things that I do.
Right.
And they get done on a regular schedule. Like I make sure my husband's drawers are cleaned and folded and put up all his t-shirts, everything. But am I going down there to wash them dishes?
Not never.
Not for, he laid up for 11 weeks. I gotta wash some dishes? Like,
After the 11, we ain't washing dishes.
and here's why do we feel the need to be all things to all people? It is so freaking unfair. And let me tell you this. I already realized, this is a story long ago. I realized that my oldest son went to his father's house, and it was Christmas, and they didn't make sure that my baby had nothing under the Christmas tree, but his father's girlfriend had something. When I found out that my oldest son didn't have nothing under the Christmas tree, like not even a coloring book from the dollar store, I was livid, right? What I go do? Now I'm used to buying $49 gym shoes. I go and I overcompensate, and somehow this dude get a $119 pair of Pumas. When I'm buying and paying for the shoes, I say to myself, you know you're overcompensating because you're ticked off the boy daddy didn't put nothing under the Christmas tree.
And you
Be
going
clear about
crazy.
your giving, right? And we do it all the time. But we don't stop and realize, ooh, what you overcompensating for? So most people who go on 100 days a year would overcompensate. But let me talk about that. I have a nanny who hits my door the moment I leave. I pay for the nanny because there cannot be any disruptions to Austin's life as a result of me not being there. My husband is at home with the nanny because all I want Steven to focus on is going to his good railroad job, and the nanny makes less than what Steven makes, right? So we did the compensation model. First 3 weeks of Chicago Public School, every calendar year, there is no after-school bus service to third-party sites. My son goes to a third-party site for after-school care. I pay for a private driver to come pick him up and drop him off at $10 a day. Why? And let me tell you this, it ain't even a mile. Because Steven and I make more than that, and it would disrupt our day to stop at 2:30 to go pick him up, to take him to camp. So when people view things as a problem, and I'm looking at how much we earn versus the cost of the service, I am likely to hire someone to assist me in those areas. Essentially, that might be below my pay grade.
And what's interesting about that, when my husband and I were in counseling, we did a workshop that explained emotional equity. And when we look at equity and we look at money and how important it is to some of us, we relinquish ourselves of the amount of emotional equity that we have left. So if it would cost me more in emotion to stop what I'm doing and drive them out to get my son, we can quantify that and say it's worth us paying $10 a day to not disrupt us. It's worth me paying for a nanny to not disrupt the 100 days. Because I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, 75 of them, you happy that you there doing your Marki thing, which continues to build your identity. And I think that as Black women, we sometimes apologize for what someone would consider the finer things. So some of us are still feeling guilty about, oh, Black women don't get nannies. I want to be the day-to-day. Or we don't get, housekeepers, or we don't get drivers. And I think what you said was so poignant, because why did I become this successful to not have help? And I think that's the bottom line of
And they
balance.
better than I am.
Because that's what they do.
I didn't hire him mow off the corner.
Right.
He has a professional car service.
Absolutely.
This guy got a professional cab with his name on the side. Like, I'm serious,
Like,
right?
for real, doing
And
it.
he pick him up and they got a relationship. My uncle is my nanny. He's a retired executive. My son would 100% prefer to spend time
With him.
than with me. First of all, he cooks better. And he gets undivided attention that he loves to have right now.
And a male with a male.
Exactly.
All the time.
And he's changed as a person, but he also now knows better now how to deal with his elders. Okay. Right now, my son is next door at the neighbors. He's at the Griffin Academy. I pay the young lady next door every day to sit down with him to review his homework. Because while my husband was laying up there not doing nothing,
We're going to get off you, Steve, soon.
he wasn't doing homework either, right? I said, oh, I'm gonna choke him. How do I get me help to help Austin every single day? Because I don't want to disrupt what I'm doing. Hey, Morgan, what you doing? Would you like to make a few extra dollars? Can you help Austin with his homework? He goes over there 8:45 a.m. like he getting on a school bus to get help at the Griffin Academy.
I love it. The bottom line, ask for help.
If you don't ask, you won't get it.
And it's sounding like there's no way to be both successful in your career, constantly rebranding, in addition to being a wife and a mom, if you don't ask for help. And that is where heart attacks happen and respiratory infections come up, and we have the Monday through Sunday pill bottle. So I would say, and correct me or adjust, put all of the things in place and create your village of assistance, because you can have it all. And I think, in my daily meditation, I say I absolutely can have every single thing that I want, and I won't feel bad about it, whether it's a nanny or a Chanel bag, or wanting to go away for 5 days by myself. And I ain't even hit the kid thing yet. So I will say these were some serious gems as we continue to strive for success. So if you have any final thoughts or remarks as it relates to the rebuild and the rebrand to maybe someone that's watching who feels like they did everything they were supposed to do and now they're at the top of the ladder, now what? Or I've aged out, or I'm too, or how do I start over, or blah, 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 why it's important to shift that thinking.
Well, I'll be 50, and I'm in a pivot right now, right? So I don't ever think you're too old, period.
So cut that.
I believe YouTube University is worth its
Every
value
click.
in gold, right?
Yep.
Every click. And I've pivoted, right? So I told you I started a Kindle print on demand. I have a print on demand clothing line and books. And the only thing it's doing is adding to my business, period. And so what I decided to do, I'm very niched, but I do multiple things in that niche. I think you go deep. And I believe you can have it all. But I have help. But I don't want people to think my help is based on emotion. My help is based on economics. So understanding what my value is about what 1 hour of market time is. And that even now that we've pivoted home and I'm doing webinars and not keynote speeches. Keynote speeches, baby, I tell everybody I'm making a day more than what most people make in a month, right? This webinar money ain't bad money either. Okay, so I can afford to have these additional services
But I learned to say no, and I went deep in a niche. I own my niche. I let them know I own my niche right here in this space.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. Goes back to confidence. We as Black women are usually the best of the best at whatever it is that we do because we hold ourselves to an insane standard. And then we go into spaces where people tell us that we should be meek and humble, where, like you said, no, honey, if you quantify me, it's going to cost you. So I couldn't have had a better guest.
Well,
So
I'm glad
really,
to hear
really,
that.
really
Thank
appreciate you coming to hang out.
So the thing is, we can have everything. I think after having that conversation with Marki, I feel more motivated than ever to continue to be as ambitious and assertive and aggressive as I want to be. In a lot of instances, we're told that that's doing too much. That's wanting too much. That's being the most. And I always think, what's the opposite of the most? Basic? And who wants to be that? So if you have goals and dreams and ambitions, and that includes making it into Forbes and a maternity magazine, so be it. If you feel like you want to have a husband or not have a husband and decide that you want a different boyfriend in the different countries that you travel and a girlfriend in your hometown, you can do that too. If you want to be a complete domestic because you found your home in the kitchen and doing laundry and watching your soap operas and shows on Food Network, that's cool too. I think the number one thing is it is what you want to do, but balance your time. A lot of times we hear at different professional developments and different workshops that we have to be serious about time management. Live by a calendar, make your list, take your notes. It's a real thing and not just for work. Respecting the time that you put aside for yourself is self-respect and self-love and will continue to make you show people how they should treat you. Open communication, she mentioned in a relationship, saying what it is you like and what it is you don't like honestly. Giving somebody your authentic self allows them to really fall in love with you. Maintaining a facade sounds like you're trying to win an Oscar that'll never come. So the thing is, yes, you can have as much or as little as you want, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. And if you're the one making someone feel a way about doing the most or about not doing enough, then you are part of the problem we're trying to shift. So my thing is, which it always is, do whatever you want to do. That's what makes you you. See you soon, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.